She cleaned mansions, but held a secret talent that could change everything. What if the very person she worked for discovered her hidden gift? You won't believe how a simple maid's life took an unimaginable turn overnight. This is the story that will make you question everything you think you know about fate, kindness, and the power of one person's choice to change another's life forever. But before I tell you how Grace went from being kicked out of a mansion in shame to living in one of her own, you need to understand something important. What happened to her that rainy Thursday morning wasn't just bad luck. It was planned. And the person who planned it? Someone she trusted with her life. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will shock you to your core. Before we dive in, drop your city in the comments. We'd love to know where you're watching from. And don't forget to like and subscribe, so you never miss another powerful story like this. Now let's continue. Grace wiped the sweat from her face as she cleaned the marble floors of the big house in the rich part of town. The sun was hot, and her back hurt from bending all day. She had been working as a maid for Mrs. Helen for 3 years now. 3 long years of waking up at 5 a.m., cleaning, cooking, and taking care of the house, while Mrs. Helen lived her rich life. But Grace had a secret. Every night after work, she would sit in her small room and draw beautiful pictures of people, animals, and buildings. She drew on old newspapers and used pencils she found thrown away. Grace could make any picture look so real, you would think it was a photograph. She never told anyone about her drawing. Who would care? She was just a maid. But Grace never complained about her job. She needed this work. Her little sister Mary was sick, and the medicine cost a lot of money. Every month, Grace sent almost all her salary home to her village to help Mary get better. Grace, Mrs. Helen's voice cut through the air like a knife. Come here right now. Grace dropped her mop and ran to the living room. Mrs. Helen stood there with her arms crossed, her face red with anger. Behind her stood her son David, a handsome young man who had just come back from studying in America. Yes, ma'am, Grace said quietly, her heart beating fast. Mrs. Helen pointed to the coffee table. Where's my diamond ring? The one I left right here this morning. Grace looked at the empty table, confused. I don't know, ma'am. I cleaned this area, but I didn't see any ring. Don't lie to me, Mrs. Helen shouted. That ring cost more money than you'll ever see in your life. Did you take it? No, ma'am. I would never take anything from you. I'm not a thief. But Mrs. Helen wasn't listening. She grabbed Grace's arm roughly. Search your room, David. Grace's eyes filled with tears. In all her 3 years of working here, she had never stolen even a grain of rice. She worked hard and honestly. How could Mrs. Helen think she was a thief? David came back from Grace's small room behind the kitchen. In his hand was the diamond ring. Grace's mouth fell open. I didn't put that there. Someone else did. Please believe me. Mrs. Helen's face turned even redder. You lying girl. Pack your things and get out of my house right now. And don't expect any salary for this month. But ma'am, my sister needs medicine. I need this job. I didn't steal anything. Get out, Mrs. Helen screamed, before I call the police. Grace ran to her room, tears streaming down her face. She packed her few clothes into a small bag, her hands shaking. She also grabbed her drawings, the only things that made her happy. How would she tell her family? How would she pay for Mary's medicine? What would she do now? As she walked toward the gate, carrying her bag, she heard David call her name. Grace, wait. She turned around, hoping he would help her. David had always been kind to her when his mother wasn't around. He walked close to her and whispered, I'm sorry this happened, but you have to understand, my mother, she doesn't trust servants. David, I didn't take that ring. You know me. You know I'm not a thief. David looked around to make sure his mother couldn't hear. I know you didn't take it. Grace's heart jumped with hope. Then why didn't you tell her? David's next words hit her like a cold slap. Because I put it in your room. Grace stared at him, unable to believe what she just heard. What? I put the ring in your room. I needed you gone. But why? What did I do to you? David's face changed. The kind expression was gone, replaced by something cold and mean. My mother was getting too attached to you. She was starting to treat you like family. She even talked about helping you go to school. I couldn't let that happen. Grace felt like the ground was moving under her feet. You destroyed my life because you were jealous. Not jealous. Smart. Servants should know their place. And your place is not in this family. With that, David turned and walked back to the house, leaving Grace standing alone in the rain that had just started to fall. Grace walked through the busy streets, soaked by the rain, with nowhere to go. She had no money, no job, and no hope. The weight of David's betrayal sat heavy on her chest like a stone. She found a small shelter where other homeless people stayed. As night came, she curled up on the hard ground, using her bag as a pillow. In the darkness, she pulled out one of her drawings, a picture of her sister, Mary, smiling. She touched the paper gently and cried until she had no more tears left. But Grace didn't know that someone had been watching everything that happened that day. Mr. Michael was one of the richest men in the country. He owned oil companies, hotels, and banks. People called him a business genius, but what they didn't know was that he had a secret hobby. He liked to walk around the city in simple clothes, watching how people treated each other. That Thursday, he had been visiting a friend who lived next to Mrs. Helen's house. From the window, he saw everything. He saw Grace cleaning with care and pride. He saw Mrs. Helen accuse her. He saw David plant the ring. And he saw Grace get thrown out into the rain. But most importantly, he heard David's cruel confession. Mr. Michael had been poor once, long ago. He knew what it felt like to be treated badly, just because you had no money. And what he saw that day made his blood boil with anger. The next morning, Mr. Michael put on his best suit and knocked on Mrs. Helen's door. "Good morning," he said when she opened it. "My name is Michael Johnson. I'm looking for a young lady named Grace. I believe she worked for you." Mrs. Helen's eyes got wide. Everyone in the area knew who Michael Johnson was. "Oh, Mr. Johnson, what an honor. Yes, Grace worked for me, but I had to let her go yesterday. She stole from me." Mr. Michael smiled, but his eyes were cold. "Actually, that's not what happened, is it?" "I'm sorry. I saw everything yesterday, Mrs. Helen. I saw your son plant that ring in Grace's room. I heard him confess to her outside." Mrs. Helen's face went white. David, who had come to see who was at the door, looked like he wanted to disappear into the ground. "Now," Mr. Michael continued, his voice calm but scary, "you're going to tell me exactly where Grace is, or I'm going to make sure everyone in this city knows what kind of people you really are. Your husband's business, your family's name, everything will be destroyed." Mrs. Helen's hands started shaking. "Please, Mr. Johnson, we don't know where she went." "Then you better find out. Fast." Grace was still at the shelter when she heard someone calling her name. She looked up and saw a tall man in an expensive suit walking toward her with two other people. "Grace, my name is Michael Johnson. I need to talk to you." Grace stood up quickly, trying to fix her wrinkled clothes. She had heard this name before. Rich people talked about him all the time. "Sir, I'm sorry I look like this." Don't apologize," Mr. Michael said gently. "You have nothing to be sorry for. I know what really happened yesterday." Grace's eyes filled with tears again. "You do? I saw David plant that ring in your room. I heard him tell you why he did it. You were innocent." Grace couldn't believe what she was hearing. Finally, someone knew the truth. "But that's not why I'm here," Mr. Michael continued. "I'm here because of these." He held up some papers that had fallen from Grace's bag when she was thrown out. They were her drawings. Grace's heart stopped. Her secret was out. These drawings. "Grace, they are incredible. I've never seen talent like this." "Who taught you?" "No one, sir. I just draw what I see in my head." Mr. Michael looked at the other people with him. One was a woman in a fancy dress. The other was a man with glasses. "Grace, this is Sarah. She owns the biggest art gallery in the country. And this is Tom. He works with the best artists in the world." Sarah stepped forward, holding one of Grace's drawings. Grace, this picture of a child playing, it's beautiful. It has so much feeling, so much life. You have a gift that most people spend years in school trying to learn. Grace couldn't speak. Were they really talking about her simple drawings? Tom nodded. I've worked with artists who sell their paintings for millions. Your work is better than most of theirs. Mr. Michael smiled at Grace's shocked face. Grace, I want to offer you something. I want to give you a chance to use your gift. I'll pay for you to go to art school. I'll give you a place to live, money for your family, and everything you need to become the artist you were meant to be. Grace felt dizzy. Was this real? Was she dreaming? But sir, why? You don't even know me. Mr. Michael's face became serious. Grace, I was poor once. I know what it feels like when people look down on you just because you don't have money. I know what it feels like when someone destroys your life for no reason. But I also know that talent and goodness can come from anywhere. And you, Grace, have both. He paused and looked directly into her eyes. I'm not doing this just to help you. I'm doing this because the world needs to see your art. You have something special, something that can touch people's hearts and change how they see the world. Grace looked at her drawings in Sarah's hands. These simple pictures she drew on old newspaper had brought her this miracle. There's one more thing, Mr. Michael said. I want you to know that Mrs. Helen and David will face consequences for what they did. David confessed everything when I confronted them. The police know the truth now. Grace felt a mix of relief and sadness. She was glad the truth came out, but she didn't feel happy about revenge. She just felt free. 6 months later, Grace stood in Sarah's art gallery, wearing a beautiful dress, watching people look at her paintings. The same drawings she used to hide in her small room were now hanging on the walls, and people were buying them for thousands of dollars. Her sister Mary was there too, healthy and smiling. The medicine had worked, and Mary was going to school now, paid for by the money Grace made from her art. I can't believe this is real, Grace whispered to Mr. Michael, who had become like a father to her. Believe it, he said with a proud smile. This is just the beginning. Your talent was always there, Grace. All you needed was a chance. Grace looked around the room at all the people admiring her work. Rich people, poor people, young and old, all of them seeing beauty in the pictures she drew with her heart. In the corner, she saw a young girl about her age, wearing old clothes and looking hungry. The girl was staring at one of Grace's paintings with wonder in her eyes. Grace walked over to her. Do you like art? She asked gently. The girl nodded shyly. I draw sometimes, but I'm not good at it. Grace smiled, remembering herself just months ago. Can I see your drawing sometime? The girl's eyes lit up with hope. As Grace talked to the young girl, she felt a warm feeling in her chest. This was why everything happened. Not just so she could escape poverty, but so she could help others escape too. Mr. Michael watched from across the room and smiled. He had been right about Grace. She didn't just have talent. She had a good heart. And that combination was the rarest gift of all. Grace's journey from a kicked-out maid to a celebrated artist was complete. But her story of helping others was just beginning. Sometimes, the very thing that seems like your end is actually your beginning. Sometimes, the person who tries to destroy you actually sets you free. And sometimes, the talent you hide in the dark is exactly what the world needs to see in the light. Grace learned that day that your true worth isn't determined by how others treat you, but by what you choose to do with the gifts you've been given. She chose to turn her pain into beauty, her struggle into strength, and her success into a ladder for others to climb. And that, my friends, is how Maid's secret talent didn't just change her life. It changed the lives of everyone she touched. The girl who once scrubbed floors now had people lining up to buy her art. The girl who once had no voice now inspired others to find theirs. The girl who once had nothing now had everything that mattered: purpose, family, and the power to lift others up. Grace's story reminds us that talent can bloom anywhere. Kindness can come from unexpected places, and one person's decision to help can change the world. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think Grace should do next with her success? Should she A. Start a school to teach art to poor children for free? B. Open her own gallery to help other unknown artists show their work? C. Go back and forgive Mrs. Helen and David? D. Use her money to help other maids and house workers find better lives? Drop your answer in the comments below. I love reading what you think, and I reply to every single comment. And here's another question that will blow your mind. What if I told you that Grace's story is just the beginning? What if David comes back into her life with a shocking secret that changes everything again? That story is coming next week. And trust me, you won't see the twist coming. If stories like Grace's inspire you, stories about ordinary people who overcome impossible odds and change their lives completely, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell. Here on Beyond Yesterday, we share real-life stories that prove your past doesn't define your future. Stories of people who went from nothing to everything, who turned their biggest failures into their greatest victories. Every day, I bring you stories that will make importantly believe that anything is possible. Don't forget to like this video if Grace's story touched your heart. Subscribe to Beyond Yesterday for more incredible life-changing stories. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their dreams are still possible. Your support means everything to me, and it helps these stories reach people who need hope the most. What hidden gift do you have that's waiting for its moment to shine? Remember, Grace was just a maid until someone saw her true value. Your moment is coming too. See you in the next story. And remember, your yesterday doesn't have to define your tomorrow.